Okay, so if you can't tell, I'm already mid-ride. I'm still going south, although I'm facing north at the moment, and I want to show you why. I thought about getting off the bike and taking a photo, but then I was like, I don't want to. But you see right here in front of me is a wheelchair, and on the ground in front of it is the guy who belongs with the wheelchair. He's alive. He's apparently sleeping, but if you saw this setup, I'm going to turn around and keep going south now. What it looks like is he's a homeless guy in a wheelchair who the only thing he could do in order to get to sleep was literally fall face first out of the wheelchair onto the grass. The richest nation in the world should not be living with that. Should not have people who are that disabled and that destitute that they are literally the only thing they can do is fall out of their wheelchair onto the grass to get some sleep before they have to crawl back into their wheelchair and, go about being homeless. That should not be happening in the world's greatest nation that ever existed. In the world's richest nation. Billionaires 10 times over should not exist while we have these problems. We should not be paying for vanity parades or presidents to travel to their own properties and gouge the taxpayers millions of dollars each weekend while these problems exist. We should not be giving Chevron and Exxon and all these oil companies tax breaks. These companies are still getting tax breaks from over 100 years ago. We should not be giving them tax breaks. Exxon should not be getting $1 billion back in taxes or overpaid taxes from the federal government while these problems exist. It's shameful and disgraceful. I mean, every culture, every society, for as long as we've had humanity, has had to deal with its outliers. People who lived just outside of town in the woods because they didn't want to live in town. People who traveled with a tent on their back and slept in local parks and forests as they passed through because they didn't want to settle down. We have always, across cultures, across nations, across oceans, we have always had our outliers. So there were always going to be people who live on the outskirts of quote-unquote society. And what I'm getting at is the people who choose to be homeless. The people who live in an RV or a van or who choose to live in their cars. Whatever. As long as that's something you decided to do, I will support you. But the people who didn't, the people who are just so poor that they can't handle a rate increase or a rent increase, the people who are so poor that they don't have the money saved up to pay for an insurance deductible, the people who are so poor that are one doctor's visit away from being destitute. These things should not exist in the United States of America. These things should not exist while we exist. While we live under a Constitution and a Declaration of Independence that says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Although, Donald Trump's Supreme Court keeps, ignoring the pursuit of happiness part. But still, these things should not be happening. And it triggers me every time I see it. I mean, I see homeless people, sure. Like I said, every society across the globe has to deal with its homeless or its community members. For example, that person with a mental illness who just does not behave in polite society. Everybody deals with that. You know, whether you're in a village of 60 people in Central Africa, or, you know, if you're, you live in one of the largest cities in the world. Is it still Mexico City? I don't remember if it's still Mexico City or not. Anywho, by population. It might be somewhere in China or India by now. Regardless. It should not be a thing. If people want help getting out of their situation, there should be help for them to access. Again, there's going to be people who don't want help, in which case they are adults, they are allowed to make their own decisions. I almost bought a bike like that, but I wanted a bicycle, not a pretend motorcycle. So this is, just for those of you paying attention, I said yesterday that I was going to do pretty much the same trip, but I was going to do it counterclockwise instead of clockwise, and that's basically what I'm doing. We just passed the Denver Animal Shelter. I am headed south. When I get to the crossing point, I will head east, and then I will head north back up Broadway. I may take some detours around Broadway. Pardon me, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. I'm not entirely sure why or where or if I do the detours around Broadway, but I might go up through Baker Street. I might take, and I probably will now that I think about it, because I want to talk about the Denver Art Museum when I get there. But yeah, just letting you know. But yeah, to get back on our regular scheduled discussion, the United States should not have an unwilling homeless population. Like I said, there are always going to be people who choose homelessness. Oh, you know what? That light's still counting down. Let me go. If people choose to be homeless, great. Have a field day. Have social services go out and check on them once a week or a couple times a week maybe, just to kind of, make sure everybody's alive and everybody's healthy, nobody's suffering from gangrene or, random knife wound or something. But, for everybody else, the people who are in that situation outside of their control, they should have access to resources. And those resources shouldn't be, here's a form, fill it out so we can keep track of you, but we're not actually going to do anything, because that seems to be a lot of problems for a lot of these nonprofits and NGOs and even government agencies that deal with homeless people. Or they think, oh yeah, we'll just get you a job. Here's a job making $10 an hour. That's above minimum wage. So now you have a job. That's great. That $10 an hour job isn't going to help me. That's what they don't understand. That $10 an hour job is not going to give me enough money to afford an apartment. But they think as long as they, get you a job, you're good. And I say this from experience. I worked with the veterans coordinator at the unemployment office a few years ago. And I say a few years ago, like 10 years ago. And her philosophy was, well, we just need to get you a job. I was like, well, I don't want just a job. At best, I want a career. At worst, I need a job that pays me enough to get out of my current situation and back on my feet. That doesn't mean just having enough money for rent. So yesterday I went on the other side of this building, through that little park, and that's why I'm going this way, because I just wanted to see what the other side of it looked like. But I literally had this woman tell me, I don't care what kind of job you get as long as it's a job. I have to click on here that you found a job, that I helped you find a job. And I was like, look, because she was trying to send me job. Like, at the time I had a bachelor's degree. I used to be a regional manager of a telecommunications office, the operations side. I had experience in sales. I had experience in nonprofit management. I had people who reported to me or have had reported to me. I was on the budget council of a nonprofit, blah, blah, blah. At the time, I was, very, hi puppies, very, not advanced, but very wide array of skills that anybody should want. That anybody should want in their organization. This is a person who thinks outside the box. This is a person who has a variety of experience under their belt that they can draw on in order to, make decisions or handle problems or whatever. Because when all you're doing is hiring hammers, all they want to do is nail. But when you hire a multi-tool, it can do pretty much anything you need it to do. And then when it can't do it, then you get a hammer. So it's basically, hire your jack of all trades to let them run the day-to-days, but then have some subject matter experts on hand for when the jack of all trades can't handle it. It either gets too in-depth or it's a specialty or something that the jack of all trades just doesn't have. Whatever. But she was sending me like night clerk at 7-Eleven jobs, mattress delivery jobs, things like that. Like low education, low skill, they just need a body to be in the position jobs. And I would argue with her all the time. This is not in my career path. This is not something that will satisfy me. Oh, here's where I need to go up. This is not something that will satisfy me intellectually, emotionally, or morally. And her answer was always, I don't care, I just need to get you a job. And I hated it. So I can only imagine what some of these nonprofits that work with homeless people actually do. Because I have had the opportunity to know some homeless people. Some people who either live in their vehicles or live in a van or whatever. Some of them have jobs. I met a guy who lived in a van who had a full-time job as a senior financial analyst for his company. And he would say all the time, oops, you know what, I'm going to go across the street. He would say all the time that, he goes, I'm saving a lot of money because it doesn't matter where I'm at or what as long as I get my job done and I can do my job from anywhere I have internet. Great. But not everybody has that luxury. For example, a friend of mine that lives in a van, she has an on-site job. She works at an actual facility that she has to physically be at. It was supposed to only be 2 days a week, but she doesn't know how to say no to her boss, so now she's at like 5 days a week. Because it was only supposed to be a couple of days a week to make some money so she could afford to live in her van lifestyle. But over the course of the last 2 years, her managers, and she's had like 3 or 4 of them now, keep saying things like, oh, well, I need somebody to work on Tuesdays now. And she's like, oh, fine, I'll do it. I need somebody to work on Saturdays now. Okay. Things like that. So she started doing it. She would not say no. But that's her issue, and I've talked to her about that on numerous occasions. You know, teach their own. I even told her how to give her boss an ultimatum. Because there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. And she's, but her argument is, well, if I do that, then I might lose my job. And I was like, so? There are a gazillion other companies just like that one. You told me yourself, people from some of these other companies have already tried to hire you. You have options. And with as much money as you've been able to save these last 2 years, you probably have enough money that you don't need to work for a year if you don't want to. And she's like, well, I do, but I can't leave my job. They rely on me. I'm like, it's a job, okay? It's not a family. They're not your friends. It is a job. But she doesn't know how to make that distinction. Okay, so this is Broadway. We're going to cross Broadway and go north. And go through town. And then, like I said, we might cut over and visit the Baker neighborhood or something. But yeah, getting back onto the homeless thing. There are organizations out there, like if the veterans coordinator treated me like that, saying we don't care what kind of job you get as long as you have a job, I can only imagine what they're doing to poorer people, destitute people, people who are homeless, when they say, oh, I need a place to live. And they're like, well, let's get you a job first. And it's like, well, I can't hold down a job when I'm sleeping under a bridge. Like, there is that. But they don't care because their paperwork or their policy, their agreement, with the state or the city, if it's an NGO or a nonprofit, is to get you working. Because if you're not a cog in the machine, then you're useless to the machine. And that's like how Americans, especially politicians and whatnot, think. Is if you are not part of the machine, you are useless to the machine. But that's not true at all. That gets into a whole other philosophical conundrum. I'm gonna jump on the sidewalk, because the sidewalk's thick enough that I don't have to worry about hitting anybody, because I don't see any lanes over there. But yeah, like I met a woman a couple weeks ago. She literally used to sleep under a bridge. She's in a temporary housing situation at the moment, trying to get her life back together. Temporary housing situation that is owned by and paid for by the city of Denver. But it is run by a nonprofit. So Denver owns the facility and spends millions of dollars a year on the facility, to include paying the nonprofit to manage it. So, but she's getting her life together. She, get her a place to live first, and then get her, and now she just started a job. We're actually going to go right by her job here in a second, because she works, she went through training closer to her, closer to her shelter thing. So she could get up in the morning, catch a bus to her training location, which was near. It was still a few miles away, but it was relatively nearby. We're just doing this real quick so I can get up on the sidewalk again. But she's clean. She's sober. She doesn't drink. She doesn't do drugs anymore. She started a job. She did training up by the shelter that she's at, but she works down here. We are coming up on Exposition and Broadway. She works at 2nd and Broadway. And she's making, I think she's making like $19 an hour. She told me that a while ago when she was in training. She said, they told me I could stay at this location and make this much money, or if I wanted to go to a different location, I could make more money. So I chose the other location to make more money. It's like, fair enough. She just has to ride the bus down here to get to work and then to ride the bus back. Which, again, you know, that's why we need public transit. I mean, she could probably ride a bike this far, but it would take her maybe longer than the bus, and then, you know, you got sore legs and or sweatiness all day while you're at work. Now, it depends on what you're doing, you know. Showing up to work sweaty might not be a bad thing. Like if you work at a gym, or, you know, if you're a firefighter and you go, or a cop, and you go inside and change clothes real quick. But for those of us who don't have that, why are there rubber gloves on there? For those of us who don't have those options, you know, especially if you're out of shape or something. Alright, so I can jump out here because this little guy says it goes both ways. But yeah, I actually woke up about 6:30 this morning. It's almost 9:30 now. And I thought about coming out really early when there was no traffic, but I figured it's Sunday morning, there's probably still not a lot of traffic. And here we are. As you can see, not a lot of traffic, Sunday morning. I'm actually going to turn that down. And I'm going to turn that up. So I turned down the pedal assist mode from 3 to 2. And I turned up the manual gearing from 3 to 4. There's an RV parked over there. They probably slept there last night, which again is perfectly fine, but I don't know if I could do it. Too much traffic. I'd be up all night worried about somebody rearing into me, because last night was Saturday, so a lot of people probably left here and got drunk, or probably left downtown here drunk. As soon as I come to a stop, it says it's safe to go. So, actually, I should be cutting over here in a little bit. But yeah, so yesterday I came down the other side of the road. So you're just seeing the same stuff from a different direction, which was the whole point. Morning brunch. Hey puppies. And the tiki statue things. But yeah. We should definitely be supporting a society that takes care of ourselves rather than one that lauds billionaires and millionaires and tells everybody else to suffer. That's my point. Because when you're born with a silver spoon in your pocket or in your mouth, you don't really have the same options as somebody who's born to a crackhead mom, or who's just born in a trailer park to a non-crackhead mom. There was in the early 2000s, there were a couple of studies that came out that said success, or there's a guy on that couch. I didn't even see him until I was almost past him. The only indicator of success that anybody has ever been able to narrow down, like personality-wise, financial-wise, etc., because they were trying to figure out, like, what do all successful people have in common? Is it a personality trait? Is it a leg up in the world? Is it, whatever? Is it, financial, starting out a little richer, or, starting out with a certain kind of education or whatever? And they said the only indicator of true success is luck. Being in the right place at the right time, and I will add, knowing the right people. So, for example, you see an opportunity, you recognize there's an opportunity in the market somewhere, but it doesn't matter if you can't bring it to market. So you have to know the people who know how to do that. You have to know the people, that's where she works, right there, to the left. you have to know or have access to startup capital or whatever, or people who can introduce you to people. I'm just gonna go because nobody's here, and I'm tired of stopping at every street. But yeah, luck, and luck is defined, is having all those things come together for you. And it's easier to have all those things come together for you if you already have all those things. So like, you were raised in let's say a trailer park. Somebody raised in a trailer park whose mom doesn't know anybody, whose dad doesn't know anybody except the people they work with or the other people in the trailer park. Maybe a friend or two that they know that, in a different social category. Sorry, it feels like I'm riding into the breeze at this point, so you might be getting some breezy noises. But if you're there and you have a brilliant idea how to solve cancer or something, it's not going to go anywhere because you don't have the connections to get it anywhere. Now you can go out and make those connections, but again, depends on where you're at. If you're in rural Kansas, central Illinois, or BFE Arkansas, you may not have those connections. You may not be able to get those connections. Oh, light says green, trap is clean. Oh shoot, I was gonna cut over. Dang it. You know what, I'm gonna cut over right here. I got plenty of room, no traffic coming, so we're gonna cut over. And we'll cut over to the other neighborhood over here and go up through the streets. Cut through the parking lot. But it's a lot more difficult, it's a lot harder if you don't have access. If you do not have, the luck of knowing somebody who knows somebody who can help you, or who wants to help you, or is willing to help you. So, this is the Baker neighborhood. I don't remember the exact building that I looked at moving into. These are all duplexes, it looks like. But when I see one that's similar, I will point it out. Oh, there's cute little houses over here. The giant unkept yards, but at least they're painted interesting. We'll go up Bannock here because it has a bike lane. So I was trying to remember which one of these roads takes us up to the Denver Art Museum. But yeah, now imagine, you're not that kid that was, raised poor or whatever, or in a isolated community. Now imagine you were raised in an upper middle class community. Your parents are doctors and CEOs and, partners in law firms and stuff. And you say, hey, Dad, I just found out, I just came up with a way to say, create clean energy for pennies on the dollar that will revolutionize, our automotive industry, whatever. I'm just making words up at this point. And the dad says, okay, well, I don't, smart enough to say, I don't know how to help you. Let me get you help. And then reaches out to his network or his wife's network or, mom's network, whatever, saying, hey, who's an engineer that can understand this and help my son bring it to market? There you go. That's luck. Knowing the right people at the right time. I am too far east. So we will cross here and then head a You know what? We're gonna go upstream. Swimming upstream. That's how we survive. You come down here on art walk nights and all these parking spaces are taken. People will park just about anywhere during art walk. But as you can tell, this is an older part of Denver. Smaller sidewalks, storefronts up against the street. I've actually been to this tattoo shop. They didn't have anybody available to give me a tattoo when I wanted one, so I left. Let's see here. So I'm trying to remember how far over Denver Art Museum is. Denver Center for International Studies. I think that's a school. Yeah, Denver Public Schools. I think it's a school for people who primarily do not speak English as a first language, which is fantastic. When you have a large population who do not speak English, or you're a larger city where people come from all over the world to live there, and their children may not speak English as a first language, it's fascinating and wonderful to have that kind of a resource. While other places might just make fun of people or call them names or something. Well, damn. I'm gonna go across. And we're gonna do this. St. Joseph's School. Okay. Could I live in an area like this? Yes and no. It would depend on the particular house and what kind of amenities it has. For example, like, it's more neighborhoody than downtown Denver with the skyrise buildings and stuff where the noises are going to bounce off each other. But if you can see, the houses are all right next to each other. I think there's only like 10 feet between houses, and sometimes even less. So they're practically townhomes, which is fine. Townhomes exist for a reason. But the parking situation. I have 2 vehicles. I can't afford to try and always find parking for 2 vehicles on the street. So if there's a rear end parking situation, then it might be an option. I think right down here, another block over on the corner is, or about halfway down the block up there, is another place where I applied for a job once. It's just a dog daycare. And I needed a job, and they had a now hiring sign, so I went and submitted my resume, interviewed with the manager, and she's like, well, you're too qualified to work here. And I was like, yeah, but I like dogs, and I want to learn the industry. You know, I will come here and work every day. I'll give you, and I told her, I said, I will give you at least a year. So you know that, you know, I'm not leaving. I will promise you that. And she goes, well, yeah, I really want somebody who is, you know, who tells me they want to be here for years on end, not just a year. And I'm like, seriously? All right, so not 100% sure where I'm at. I mean, I see Spear behind me, which is why I'm going this way, because I don't want to be closer to Spear at this point. Again, I'm not 100% sure which road goes up to the performing, or to the whatchamacallit, the art museum. Usually you can just look over, you know, you can look up one of these north-facing streets like this and see the museum. It's very distinctive, and that's why I wanted to show it to you guys. Plus, I read an article about it yesterday that I wanted to demonstrate. Oh, this is Max Fund. Okay, hey puppy. Alright. Come down here and play with the puppies. Girl over there is chasing a squirrel. It's funny because I used to do that too when I was a kid. That guy's got a TV strapped to a lawnmower. Okay. So there's another building directly in front of us, which means I'm gonna have to go left or right. Let's go left. See, now I could live here. I mean, I could have lived in that neighborhood to my left as well. But at least these are, look like they've been updated more recently. Hey, puppy. But I used to actually live in a neighborhood just like this. This is where I bought my house. I used to own a townhouse that was very similar to these, at least in size. But it was down in the tech center. So yeah, carports just like what I had in the tech center. But then we had a board member who unilaterally called the city and said, we don't want street side parking. And the rest of the board, because I was on the board at the time, the rest of the board was like, why would you say that? And she goes, well, I just didn't want a lot of strangers parking on our streets. And it's like, that's not your decision. Like, you don't get to make that call unilaterally for the entire neighborhood. Not to mention, so this is Santa Fe again. We came through here the other day. Except I was over here on the bike path instead of in the street. But yeah, the board was livid that she unilaterally made that decision to tell the city to put in no parking signs. Not restricted parking, not restricted to the neighborhood, not restricted to daylight hours. She unilaterally made a decision to have no parking signs put all around our neighborhood because she didn't want people parking. Oh, there's the museum. She didn't want people parking. Yeah, I'll go through here. On the streets. So people who had more than 2 vehicles were screwed. Yeah. And then we tried for years to get the city to undo that, to take those parking restrictions down. But then the city's like, well, they're already there, and now we need board approval from not only your neighborhood, but from the other neighborhoods in your area to also agree before we take those signs down. And we're like, are you fucking, pardon my French, are you kidding us? Like, you took somebody unilaterally making a decision and said, that's fine. But now that we want to undo that decision, you're saying you need consensus? Are you kidding? Yeah, so anywho, that happened. And we were not happy, especially since I didn't live on the end, I lived like in the middle. But, and of course I come to a full stop and your blinker's not on. Yeah. A lot of times I might give a car the leeway, especially because I've sat in traffic before and had to wait for people, so I understand. But I'm like, yeah, I might have waited for them to pass. But they weren't wearing their blinker, and blinker's a huge pet peeve of mine. So, but yeah. See, these buildings, these homes right here need to be taken care of a little bit more. But yeah, so everybody coming here because it's 2 ways. Yeah, but he's far enough away I can get through. But yeah, it was very frustrating because I lived not quite on the end unit. I think I was 3rd or 4th over from the end unit, And I used both parking spaces because at times I had a roommate, so we used both parking spaces. And when I didn't have a roommate, light says it's okay to go, I used a secondary parking space for my motorcycle. When I did have a roommate, I just parked the motorcycle up against the fence. Technically not in a parking space. It's a British pub. I haven't been there in years. To that British pub. I've been to a British pub since then. So this is the Denver Art Building. This one that looks that comes out over the street. And I'm going to get closer and go around it and stuff so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But I want you to see it. I want you to understand where I'm coming from when I tell you about this article I read yesterday. I don't see any signs that say no bikes or anything, so hopefully, I mean, there's not a lot of pedestrians here. This is the Denver Library again. This is part of the Denver Art Museum. But that's the Denver Art Museum right there. It's an amazing building. It's architecture that you do not see anywhere. It's fascinating to come and look at. But that's the art. That's the museum. The museum comes over here. It even comes. I'll show you. Again, Denver Public Library. It even comes all the way over into this, what looks like an old castle building. Or an old, castle. That's what I think of. Or prison, I guess. Those tiny windows. But I read an article yesterday. It was talking about the ugliest buildings in America. And did Colorado make the list? Yes, Colorado made the list. But not on this particular list. They had to go through another article and say, hey, on this list, Colorado, there's a building in Colorado that made the top 10. But on this list, the Denver Art Museum made the top 5 or 6 or something. So someone, somewhere, thinks that the Denver Art Building is one of the ugliest buildings in the country. Are you kidding? It is a fascinating looking building. It is the kind of thing that you could just stop and stare at and just look and go, why? And isn't it cool that they bucked convention? I was thinking maybe there was a way to get down, but it's all steps. I thought maybe there had to be a... So this is Civic Center Park. Civic Center, the center of the Civic. But I was looking for like a wheelchair ramp or something. Again, they do a lot of festivals here, a lot of fairs, a lot of political rallies. Stop the hate rallies, things like that. I saw Bernie Sanders and AOC right over here. I was in that crowd, that record-breaking crowd. This is funny. This was a controversy. So I'm stopping so I can demonstrate. So this building right here is the Denver City County building right here. This is the capital of Denver. This is also a Denver City building. It is the Mayor Webb building. Mayor Webb was the mayor, I think, when I moved to Colorado, or he was elected right afterwards, but I remember him as being the first mayor of Denver when I moved to Denver. Now the controversy is they built this building and they named it after Mayor Webb. But it is part of Colorado law that that they cannot name a government building after a sitting politician. And in fact, there's supposed to be a buffer of like 10 or 20 years before they name it after a politician. That way it avoids any kind of impropriety of, I'm going to approve this building, or we're going to approve this new structure as long as it's named after us or me or whatever. So yeah, a little bit of a controversy, just like the airport. Denver Airport used to be in North Denver. But then they wanted to expand the airport, and instead of just expanding the airport, which they had the property to do it, they decided to buy up a bunch of property and build a brand new airport, which is how we get Denver International Airport. Now, I don't know if this is true. I never looked into it, but I used to work with a guy who was as hippie as hippies could get. Like, he listened to the Grateful Dead all day. He wore tie-dye shirts and had a beard and, talked about free love and blah, blah, blah. But then he'd get on his conspiracy theories. So I remember reading about the Mayor Webb building and the controversies in the local paper. So I know that happened. But, yeah. Seeing, she hit the button, but I'm going to hit it too. But the DIA thing, supposedly, the mayor of Denver, at the time when it was all being arranged, his family owned a lot of property out there where the airport is now. And instead of purchasing the property, the city of Denver decided to lease the property. Again, I did not research this. I do not know if there is any veracity to what I'm telling you. I'm just saying what he liked to say. And when they purchased or when they leased the property, it gave the mayor at the time, or governor, whoever this was. I want to say mayor of Denver because it is a Denver International Airport, but the governor and the state had a lot to do with it. So I'm not 100% sure who it was. Again, I did not check the veracity of the claims. But apparently, and this is why I had to go around yesterday, so we're going to kind of see if there's a way through. Just because Sunday and there's probably no construction. Yeah. We cannot go down the 16th Street Mall because no bicycles, as far as I know. So we will go. We'll go up and around this way. Go down 17th. But yeah, so they signed like this huge lease to lease all this property from the family of mayor, governor, whomever it was, which is for indefinitely. So they're getting rich indefinitely off the backs of taxpayers to build an airport that nobody really wanted except for the people who directly benefited from it. And obviously, construction companies, because, airports have to be built and things like that. But that's a one-time fee. I'm looking for a bike lane. Not seeing one. I think the bike lane is probably, this is 17th, I think. I think the bike lane is probably on 14th. Is this 17th? Which can't tell. Fremont and 17th. Yeah, this is 17th. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to the, I don't know, I can't see the lights, so I don't know which way the light's going. Because that guy's not moving, so I'm assuming he still has a red light. We'll go down to 14th, just because I don't want to have to deal with anything. I mean, it is Sunday morning. There's probably not a lot going on. Just these people out here going to get brunch or whatever, but yeah. I mean, I guess it's almost 10 o'clock. It's 9:50. Movie theater that is struggling from what I understand. But yeah. And then the city, because even the other farmers and stuff out there where the airport is, did not want the airport. They didn't want the noise. They didn't want the noise to upset their cattle or their sheep or whatever they have. So the city signed an agreement with all these farmers saying, hey, this is going to be a quiet airport. You don't have to worry about it. To prove it, we are going to, let's see the bike lane over here. We are going to sign an agreement that says if the decibel rate of the airport ever gets above this, we will pay you a fine. Well, years went by, and daily decibel ratings above the threshold. And oh shoot, that's why it's wobbling so much. Hold on, well, next time I stop, I'm gonna have to, you know what, I'm just gonna stop and redo this. Sorry, the camera's been wobbling around, and I thought it was just because I was hitting loud bumps, but apparently something happened. And you guys get to look at a garbage can while I fix this. So we got to center it. It's still locked in, so I don't know why it moves so much. But oh, and now I'm gonna miss the light. How you guys doing?
Good. Yourself?
Doing okay. Just out trying to get some exercise.
With an electric bike, right?
Yep. Yep.
Better than nothing, right?
Exactly.
Every step.
Better than nothing.
Every baby step does count. We all like big steps, but baby steps count.
Exactly. For journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Yep.
That's right. That's a good one.
Chinese proverb.
I like it.
So, yeah. So yeah, for years they were violating this dB, this decibel rating, and they weren't paying out these fees. And then one of the local reporters did a report on it. This is how I know, saying that Denver hasn't paid any of these farmers and ranchers these fees that it promised to pay, and blah blah blah. And it became a huge thing, where now Denver wanted to undercut. Didn't know what he was doing or why he stopped. I'm sure the little guy did not say it was okay to walk, but the light was green. So yeah, the whole Denver airport thing has been a giant controversy since it started, and the guy I used to work with was a conspiracy theorist in that regard. Again, I don't know how much of that is true, because this all happened in the 90s before I moved to Colorado, and I didn't look it up. So this bar right here, Tarantula, oh, you can't see it. Right on the other side of the bus is a bar called Tarantulas. Oops. And it used to be on the other side of the street, up the block here, kind of to the left where the guy on the scooter is. I'll show you when we get up there. Because that building right there, the next one, it's a lower building. I can't remember how many floors. It's like 9 floors or something. It's white. It's got all the stuff there. That's the one that I used to work in. That building right there. That's the one that I'd have to come down to Denver and do some work once or twice a month. Other than that, it pretty much operated itself. Automation, it's great, isn't it? But yeah, sometimes when they come down, you know, after I was done working or whatever, I'd come over here to the bar and grab a drink or a bite, or at least walk through, see if any girls were around. Used to be right here where this Reflections is, and then, or this Callisto, and then apparently it moved. Why am I getting stuck by every light? Are you kidding? Yeah, this building directly to my left is where I used to work, or used to have to come for work once in a while. Sam's number 3, ate there a few times. Not my favorite Mexican, but in a pinch it works. And then, you can't see it, but this building directly to my right. Actually, can I go? I don't know if I can go up the street here and show you. I may have to come down another day and try it. But that is the Federal Reserve of Colorado. I think it's of Kansas City, but that's where they print money. Literally print money. You can go do tours and stuff. I've never done it. All the years I've lived in Colorado and the Denver area, I've never gone down there and taken the tour. Maybe I will while I'm down here, while I'm living in the area. So I think they stopped it during COVID. I don't know if they started back up. But yeah, you used to be able to walk through and see how money's made. Now you can't take cameras, you can't take even a pocket knife or anything in there, but yeah. Oh, no cars can go through, so I'm gonna call it. And I know if I go straight, I can connect with the South Platte Trail. Actually, I need to probably start heading back. Because I went from 4 battery ticks down to 2 battery ticks. And I don't want to have to pedal any more than I have to get back. The worst part about it is, I didn't turn on the motor of this thing until like the first, until I'd gone the first 3 miles. I pedaled the first 3 miles because it was mainly either flat or downhill. So I didn't worry about it. And then suddenly it's, I think it's all the stopping and starting. Just like a regular car, it eats more gas to start and stop than it does to keep going. So that's disappointing. There's a car coming behind me, so we'll see if we can cut in front of it before it cuts me. Because what's life without a little risk? Booyah. So, light says green, trap says clean. Here comes some cars, and I'm on the wrong side of the road. Let me get on the sidewalk. I don't like riding on the sidewalks because, unless it's designated for bikes, like that one area, because they're sidewalks, not side rides. Learned that lesson a long, long time ago. When I was in the Army, actually. They brought somebody in to teach us like road safety, etiquette, blah, 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 driving skills. We had to go through driver's training on a regular basis. But, yeah. So we do but that's what they would tell us, like, you know, it's a sidewalk, not a side ride. So bicycles are supposed to ride with traffic, which is why I don't mind riding like this. But when the roads are too narrow or there's parking on the side of the street, I worry because of how much risk I'm taking. We're gonna go this way because I remember when they started building this area up, and I parked at one of these meters one time when I came downtown to go party or whatever with some friends. Came back out and had a ticket. So mad. Then I actually went to the ticket court because Denver has its very own ticket court, believe it or not. And that ticket court says, oopsie, excuse me. That ticket court was like, oh, well, you went past the meter. And I'm like, yeah, but the sign on the meter says 2-hour parking until 10 o'clock. I put money in the meter at like 9:30. So at 10 o'clock, it should have been free. And he's like, well, I don't care. You know, this is the policy, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, can you prove it? And I said, well, I thought I took a picture, which I do. I still remember taking my phone out and taking a picture of the sign on the meter. But that picture was not on my phone. I couldn't find it. Maybe it didn't save, or maybe it, you know, accidentally deleted out of my pocket. I don't know. What I do know is that a few weeks later, I'm watching the local news, and they're talking about all the people who are getting tickets because of the ambiguity on the meters. That they've, you know, the Denver parking has just been going down and writing all these ticket fees or tickets to all these people when it says that they can park there. And I was like, this right here, this is exactly what happened to me. But by then, my case was already over and I could not prove it, so, you know, courts don't care. I've learned that a few times. Courts do not care. They're not interested in doing the right thing. They're not interested in doing the moral thing. I think most judges are just bored. And if they just don't enjoy abusing their power, then they're not enjoying their life. Well, I don't care if everybody's wrong. You know, you still got a ticket, so you're going to pay the ticket because you can't afford to fight it. Which is annoying. And I ended up paying that ticket. So, yay. So, I've never done this before. I kind of wanted to bump up my pedal assist because I'm only on 2. But I don't know how quickly that's going to empty the battery. So, sorry. I was looking to my left at these apartments that, you know, their balconies are eye level with the road here. And then to my right, which is Coors Field. So again, if you're a baseball fan and you have one of these apartments, you don't have to go to the game. Now, you can't see the game from there, but you can hear the crowd, see the noises, and have cheaper beer because it doesn't cost $10 a glass like it does at the stadium. Whew. I was just getting ready to say, I'm trying to figure out if it's more prudent to cross here or cross there when the light turned yellow. So, because I know this goes down, and I think I can jump on the trail right past this building with the satellite dishes, but I'm not 100% sure. And who really needs to store their stuff that high? I mean, I get it, they're trying to use space, but still. You can see this, it's like 4 lanes each way. That's why I didn't try to just jump across the street real quick. This one says I can go, so I will go this way. Because either way, I'm gonna have to go this way. Now we'll do this. And I come this way and a hot girl comes up to where I was. Are you kidding? That's just very disappointing. I mean, I'm not that terribly far away from my end goal at this point. I mean, it's only a few miles, but still, it's moderately uphill, so I don't want to have to deal with it being moderately uphill. I'm gonna go. The other side says it's safe to go. I know why this side says it's not, because it has the amber turn lane. But I'm gonna go anyway, because I can make decisions. Oh, there's a train yard. You know, on some level, I probably knew that was there, having gone over this road before. The other one, not this one. The one going into downtown. But I can honestly say I don't remember like ever actually seeing the train yard, but I probably knew it was there. Like I probably saw it at one point or another. See, like times like this, I wish the motor had that mechanism that would recharge it. You know, it's just some little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot, but something's better than nothing. Yeah, I know where I'm at. I know I'm at now. I think I came through here the other day, or somewhere very similar. And the only reason I haven't gone out into the road is because I keep seeing oncoming traffic. Yeah, here we go. But yeah, like bicycles are legal on the streets. but you're supposed to ride as far over as you can. The problem is cars. There's only so far over I can go. And then, you know, the bicycle or the cars behind you have to go around you. And that's annoying. Because now they're upset because they have to wait for oncoming traffic in order to go around you, blah, blah, blah. Oh, dang. I do not know where I'm at. I thought I could catch the trail system over there. Apparently I was incorrect. So this is probably a case of, excuse me, of I have to go around. This is a van lifer. All that solar up there. Are you kidding me with the no trail access? Go around the building. Now when I started with 4 out of 5 battery bars. And I'm only, I guess, ooh, somebody's vomit. I guess I'm almost 20 miles into this today. I started off at like 28 miles and I'm at 45. But still, one would think I'd have a little bit more room, a little bit more bicycle room. So I know this building over here is but I'm gonna have to go around because they got this blocked off. Crap. That's I believe that is the Salvation Army Center that I've ridden by a couple of times. And so with the Salvation Army Center, I know there's a trail access right there because I've used it. Ooh, pardon me. So we're going to try and go this way. See if this goes through. Good times. Have I been through here? This looks vaguely familiar. But a lot of these little pockets of Denver are all starting to look the same to me. Non-straight roads to keep people from going too fast. Apartments and condos covered in brick and stonework because that's what there's a lot of in Colorado, etc. Yeah, they're just all starting to look the same to me. Couple more van lifers. Here's one right here to the right. There's another one right here to the right. And I got nothing against it. I'm a fan, actually. I almost sold my truck to buy a van a few years ago just to do that with. Difference is I didn't want a car payment. Especially those vans are not cheap. So yeah. So I can go this way and catch the trail right over here. And there's the rhino statue that we see. I guess that's not technically a statue, it's an art piece. Oh, it's got climbing things on it. So technically you can go over there and climb. Oops. But there's a bicycle frame. And I'm still going into the wind, I guess. But I'm gonna go ahead and shut the recording off. You guys have been on this stretch of trail a gazillion times. You don't need to see it again. It's just gonna be a couple miles for me to get back, and I'm hoping to get that done here in the next couple of minutes. Oops. Oops. Excuse me, guys. Oops. Excuse me. Oh, hopefully he was picking up garbage. Because yeah, that's what I would do if I was, I see the Rangers down here. I saw the Rangers down here before I turned on the recorder. And I'm like, yeah, they should be handing out garbage bags saying, hey, guys, keep it clean, and I won't hand you a ticket today. Or if you don't want to pick up after yourselves, then we can write you a ticket right now. It's that easy. Give them the choice. Do you want to clean up your neighborhood, even homeless as you may be? Do you want to clean up your neighborhood, or do you want a ticket for, being crappy in your neighborhood? So I'm gonna boost up I did bump up the pedal assist to 3, just because I am only like 2 miles away from the. No, I guess I'm a little further than that. But I think between 2 ticks on the battery, I can get the last few miles back to where I started. But I also ticked up the mechanical gear just to give me a little bit more resistance, as I'm relatively flat and I'm not stopping and starting all the time. Because like I said, I think that hurt my battery option more than anything, is stopping at all the red lights and turns and stuff. But yeah, once I get up here a little bit further, I will pull over and turn this off so you guys don't have to hang out with me anymore. But I hope you enjoyed that trip around Denver. I know we got turned around a couple of times. That was my fault for just kind of following whims instead of having a plan, which is, an adventure as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, we'll pull over right here, because there's a way to pull over right here without getting run over. Somebody left some VHSs right here, which is weird. But here's the creepy canyon, or the creepy cave, I should say. But yeah, thank you for coming along, and we will chat again later. Have a great day.